We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk. Welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we got a great show for you. We are going to talk a little bit about Taycan GT. Really? What? And then exclusive manufacturing from Porsche. I know you guys think you know, but I'm going to let you know the real story behind Porsche exclusive manufacturing and how rare actual Porsche. I'm not talking about, oh, I got my PTS color. That's nothing. I'm talking about actual exclusive Porsche stuff.
Yeah.
And how many cars they get and how special they are and the things that you can do with them. And then we're also going to go into Porsche is developing their own fuel, hopefully, at some point.
Yeah, this is pretty neat.
Which is going to be kind of crazy, right? And then we're going to probably close with something, a did you know? So I won't ruin the topic, but a did you know thing will be coming up. So that's kind of an interesting thing, and then we'll get into the details of it. So
exciting.
Extra, ultra level of Porsche. I'm talking about Porsche exclusive manufacturing. What do you think that involves before I get into that?
Well, everything that I know that normally it's like that, either one of those gold editions like they did this year with a Turbo S or last year, and then that type of thing.
Something
or
they
like
make one of, right?
Something special.
Yeah, that does come, something like that. You're on the right line. That comes from their department. So this department usually only makes anywhere from 30 to 50 cars. And they're not actually making them. They're the concierge service to the factory. So they are the liaison for the ultra choice customers who want to build a certain car. So they're like the Secret Service or the Navy SEALs of Porsche, where they don't really know who they are.
Special ops action.
This doesn't really happen. You can't walk into a dealership and like this happens all at the factory level. And there's only 3 people that are concierges for this type of service. And one of them is at PEC Atlanta. So they're at those type of places.
And those people are, and the numbers are. No,
yeah, those type of people are at those places. And it's one of those things, it's almost kind of like, if you're not sure if you're available to do it, you're not available to do it. Like people that are...
it seems pretty...
The people that are doing these type
nuts.
of cars are already in this circle or invited to be in this circle. And you know, there's no doubt, like you're not like, oh, well, maybe I'm eligible to do this. Nope. if you're not sure, trust me, you're not. It's one of those type of deals.
It's taking the ultra limited into another level for sure.
Yeah. Prime example, this gentleman, his name's out there, but I'm not going to use it for our podcast purpose. He wanted to build 3 cars, and they allowed him to build all 3. So that just shows you what kind of customer he is if they're only allowing 50 of these a year.
Not talking Caymans.
To be done. Yeah. He wanted 3 matching GT cars. So I'll tell you the GT cars he wanted. He wanted a Speedster, wanted GT2 RS, and then he wanted GT3 Touring. Wanted them all British green, racing green, excuse me. And all special touches inside. They all have similar interior with that brownish with deviated stitching, almost kind of like a very retro thing to like the 70T and the Irish green and all that kind of stuff. But he wanted British racing green. But it goes a lot further than that. And I'm not going to get into every single one of the cars that he has, but just a little bit of detail from the GT3 Touring that he took delivery of. So it has actual beechwood that was washed up on a beach in the dash that was reclaimed from somebody at Porsche on a special beach somewhere, undisclosed. And then they were able to find the perfect amount of wood and type of wood that he wanted with the right discolorization to go into the dash of the car. So they actually had to work this in to like the way the factory had to like basically build it into the dash because that's not something they would normally do.
Yeah.
So that's just a tip of, and that car has 48 other special things that make that car special from all other like areas. But that's just a tip of like what the exclusive manufacturing does.
And you thought PTS was cool.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I got the color matched carbon buckets. Like, bro, this guy's got moles from the prehistoric era, like stuffed in his seats. Like that that kind of rare, weird stuff. The reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is it's kind of an unknown thing, I think, in the Porsche world, where there's different levels, right? Of, okay, first you got to buy so many cars, or even get an opportunity to get an allocation because maybe you are somebody popular and they want to give you a chance to get an allocation for maybe a GT car, and you're going to get into the club that way, and now you're going to be a consistent buyer.
A circle.
Yeah, you start to become a consistent buyer that way. Or maybe you have a lot of fame and they want to get you a GT car, and it helps them as a dealership or whoever has the allocation to give that to you. So essentially, each dealership only gets so many allocations, if you guys did not know, for GT cars. I'm talking, so the reason why I'm explaining this is the basement level of exclusivity. And, you know, we just discussed the highest level of it.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to cover that delta. So at that base level, your base level, like you think you're special, and you are to a certain degree, but you're obviously not exclusive manufacturing special. That's way, way different. And this is just to educate people on the outside of it. And I got a lot of education about this too, because I thought even I knew what was going on, but I didn't realize that this was another higher level, like that kind of like wow level.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you get your allocation, whatever you think you get your PTS, and as we've talked to some of the places about PTS, a lot of it is a crapshoot, to be honest with you. It's not about, oh, well, you're a special person, so you're going to get PTS. It's almost kind of like...
Can they fit in the production line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How quickly did you get your allocation? Because if you're towards the end of an allocation and all of these other people already PTS'd up, they've already allocated the man hours to do the PTS coloring on those cars, and they're backed up because they have delivery dates that have to go with those cars, because we actually know...
Yeah.
We know a couple people that are very high-end within the Porsche community that are Porsche higher-end customers that get invited to buy the special cars like GT2 RSs and things like that. And even them, when they got their allocations, the PTS lineup was already filled when they got their allocation, because there was other people in line who already got a PTS car before them. So it was like, okay, you have to pick from the pallet wheel. So it was almost kind of they held it against them. It was like, you can get PTS or you can get YSOC. What do you want? It's one or the other, but not both. So because they were already at the end of the line. But if you got into that big, so that's a whole nother game too, because that's another circle of, okay, now you're offered the PTS early. Or I mean, not early. You're offered the allocation early.
Yeah.
So now you get the PTS, and then you can YSOC or whatever. But then,
so you're in the circle about what line?
Yeah, where's your pecking order, right?
Yeah,
of the 1,500 cars, are you the first 500? Are you the first 200? First 10? Yeah. Or are you at the back side of it after it gets to 1,000 and there's 500 cars left? Then it's one of those.
Are you on standby?
Yeah. Or exactly. Or are you waiting for somebody after that 1,500? Decides they don't want it anymore, and then you get that call. So there's so many layers to this, and again I'm explaining it because a lot of people that probably do listen to us don't realize how deep that actually goes, and which is pretty crazy, because I even thought like, okay, well, if I get an allocation automatic, if I want to do PTS, long as I'm willing to pay for it, I get what I want. It doesn't work that way, actually. Even if you want to pay for it, the factory will say no. Because that's what Chris was saying. He's like, sorry. And he's like, now I have a customer, a good customer that has bought, I don't know, fill in the blank, 20 Porsches from me over the last decade. And now he wants a special color in a GT car. And he's the middleman, meaning the sales rep.
He has to be the bad guy.
Telling him he doesn't get it. But his buddy, who has an allocation at the same dealership, gets a PTS car.
Yeah, I remember this.
He goes, so how am I supposed to do that as a sales rep? Tell that guy that.
And yeah, those guys talk too. So
they're butts. Yeah, meaning the customers, right? Yeah, to the two customers, like, I got a PTS. Oh, you didn't? Oh, you're a peasant. That sucks. So, but anyways, I just want to give you a little background on like how special this particular gentleman is, because not only did he get an allocation for a GT car, he got 3 allocations for 3 GT cars, all different GT cars.
And PTS
and PTS'd them all, and did all of these things.
CCX to every one of them.
And did all of these special things where they whittled beechwood from, natives or whatever it was for the car and all this other crazy stuff. Yeah. So I'm just telling you guys, I just like blown away about that they only really do 50 cars. I thought there was a lot more. I thought it was if you were special, like meaning at this guy's level, they would take any comers at that level to do whatever level of stuff you want done. But the article goes on to explain why it's not that way because of the man hours that it takes. Because they were saying just to do the guy's dash took like, I think they said like a week.
Okay, so that's definitely taken.
So
that's 80 hours out of a project somewhere.
Just to do the dash.
Easily.
Yeah. So, and this is just one car, and you're tying up people to, yeah, and you're tying up, it's not like one guy doing it. You're tying up a team of people building this thing. So that's why they can only do so many of these cars, because some of them get pretty out there. And this whole team, I know that's their job. They're assigned to do this. But you think about that, the craftsmanship, essentially you're getting old school Rolls-Royce craftsmanship, hand-built, still Porsches, which now it's an assembly line, but you're getting hand-built Porsches essentially because it does still go down the assembly line for the bulk stuff, like assembly and all that stuff. But then this group of people, depending on what you pick to get done, they have to disassemble the car.
Yeah,
this isn't something like it goes down the line. They build the dash and then they put it in. Like, so how it works at Porsche is they build the car. They may have sprayed it like and pulled it out of line for the PTS portion, but then it goes to this team of people that does all of this special interior, exterior, whatever stuff goes into it. You fill in the blank. So they have to actually dismantle that section of the car to build whatever they're going to do to it, and then reassemble the car as it was looking from the factory.
That's crazy.
So there's a lot of putting in and taking out.
So they have those customers, but I wonder if they also factor in like those exclusive editions, if they do separately, like Porsche builds, hey, we're making an exclusive this. I wonder if that takes away from that number.
Maybe.
Or if that's just a customer set number.
I'm sure this is a loose number. Yeah. I'm sure no one who's going to do an audit on them to say
did 37, huh?
And like that's internal information. Who's gonna be able to say, well, show me what you did externally?
Yeah.
I mean, this number could be more than that, I'm sure, for the right people. But I'm sure this is just kind of the rough, loose goal of we do 30 to 50 of these a year.
Number, yeah.
Based off of the man hours that these probably take, those 50 cars will occupy this team for an entire year.
That's crazy. You can get more than one slot, though, too.
That's another thing that I was shocked by. If they do 30 to 50 cars, this guy got 3 of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's that baller?
Yep.
Apparently.
Jerry.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I don't think that he's on that list. Who knows who's on that list, but I'm sure it's revolving.
Yeah.
Because at any given time, I'm sure these people who are the gatekeepers for these type of like cars and all that stuff, it's almost like customer relations. I'm sure that there is an email and a Rolodex of the clientele that is in this, and is this person's job who not only facilitates speaking to these people and making sure that their dreams come true, but also like keeping in touch with these people to say, hey, we have a GT2 RS coming out. Are you interested in one? And if you are, I can be the guy to help you get an allocation because it'll come through me to get X, Y, and Z done.
Yeah, we got a 935.
Exactly.
Would you like it in bare carbon?
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For these particular clientele, the $1 billion, with a B club boys, those kind of guys. I just thought it was interesting to bring up to give everybody a little bit of background and how deep of a dive you can go within the Porsche brand if you ever get to that level.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty cool thing that they do a concierge level when you get.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people actually really knew that.
I thought it was just like, I mean, when I think of exclusive, I just think of, hey, I wanted this, this, and this, and it's different from everything else. Can I get a checkbox and make it happen? Not like a person interfacing with me every step of the process. Sort of says same. It just reminds me of the same level that they do at the Porsche Classic Center.
And another thing too, to paraphrase some of like the article, the gentleman that actually was building these cars wanted to be a little bit more conservative, actually, just because that's how he is. And part of this guy's job, the one who working for Porsche, was to help him over the edge to take a little bit of risk too, to say, hey, you're making an individual car, let's do something. Like, what are you interested in? So it goes a little bit deeper diver, like where they don't put it just on the customer. They're like, well, what are you interested in? what are some of your, where have you been on vacation in your life? Where are some of your favorite places you've ever been?
They're like profiling and
they're
really
deep diving their customer to help them pick a perfect car and build a perfect car. Like it's very unique to them.
Enjoy the experience.
Yeah, it's very unique to them. And like I said, it's very Bugatti-esque, where that's what Bugatti does, where they're like, okay, well, bring me a picture of your favorite vacation place. Bring me your favorite pair of shoes, or take a picture of your favorite pair of shoes, or just like all of these things. So they start to almost like personality profile you to help find and funnel you into an area where they think, okay, here are your options where we thought this would work for you. What do you like from this?
Yours would
And
probably
then
be a
you
bunch
start to
of
dial it in.
Just thinking like you show them things, it'd be like an asphalt racetrack and Vans checkerboards. Sweet car.
Here are a pair of Vans. Here's a dinosaur. Here's a road. Here's a roll cage. Here's a fishing rod.
Figure it out.
Yeah. This is a guy with a gun. It's like, all right. So we built you a stealth machine gun. It's like, but yeah, I think it's really cool that they do that deep dive. And then granted, yeah, you are paying up for these cars, but let's be honest, like the people that are in this special world and they're buying a GT3 Touring, and even if they put $100,000 worth of upgrades on it, it still is only, I say only relatively, I'm not trying to be like facetious about this, it's still only going to be like a $300,000 car, a $350,000 car. It's not a $3.5 million Bugatti where they sit you down, but you're getting this kind of service for that. So that's where I'm going with that comparison. It's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but what you're getting at the level that you're getting at, and the service that you're getting, and the deep dive of, and the man hours that you're getting to disassemble a car to give you all of the juicy stuff that you want to make it happen. So it's not just like where you maybe imagine it, like I did, like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. It's going down the assembly line like everything else. Yeah, it does. Then it gets pulled out, and then it spends 6 months in this guy's office where him and his team disassemble the car to install all of your special ostrich leather pouch in it and whatever. Oh, because you went to Zimbabwe on a safari, so he puts like a stripe in the back that nobody knows what it is, and just weird stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I think it's super neat. I think it's super cool. Kudos for Porsche for doing it. Yeah. And
the inner circle.
Kudos to anybody who's in that circle to make that happen, right? So, let's talk about our sponsor real fast.
Let's do it.
Nick Huntsinger.
Yep.
He is a painter, Porsche guy, Porsche racer. He paints exclusively for a lot of Porsche stuff. He painted a Porsche mural at PEC Atlanta.
He did.
He's sponsoring this month's club giveaway. He's a great guy. We've met him. If you want to listen to that show, we've done it. We've had him on the show. I don't remember which one it is.
It's like the 20.
I don't know. Just look for Nick Huntsinger. You can't miss it in our Rolodex. We've got so many shows out there now. But he's on there. Great talk. It was over an hour. Great story. Very, very interesting story. Yeah. So he's sponsoring this month. What are we giving away this month?
So we're doing a tumbler in martini livery. We're doing a mug in hippie livery, and then we're doing coasters in Pepita and an RSR print, which is like 3 RSR cars. It's pretty cool looking.
Sweet. And we give away something every month, right? Something exclusive, something unique to Porsche for you and our club members that are out there.
Yeah.
How do you become a club member to become eligible for these giveaways?
Join the PCAR Club. So we do that from pcartalk.com. Then you look at club, and then join the club, and then you'll see all the different options. You'll see Sean and Andrew doing the videos on why you should join and some of the stuff on there.
Exactly.
And you can also do it from Instagram.
So if you like to win stuff, and then you get stuff with your membership too, right? If you sign up, you get decals, T-shirts, club member cards. There's also discounts involved in that through like exhaust stuff. Like so, we're working with manufacturers out there. We have discounts included with your membership, and then also it also helps us, right, to do what we do. So support the people that you're listening to and
all these events.
Yeah. So keep it real. Support your boys. Help us out, right?
Yeah.
All right. The next thing. Talk of Taycan GT. What? What madness is this?
It's got to happen. They got to fill the GT line of the Taycan.
Yeah. So there's an Easter egg. out there behind JK, which AKA is Jamiroquai. Apparently he's a Porsche guy, and he's driving one of the Porsche Taycan turbos, and he's being interviewed and talked with, and this is through a Porsche's channel, isn't some just random whatever. And he mentioned something about a Taycan GT. Now, the relevance behind that is Porsche had the opportunity to edit that out. They didn't. They let it ride. It wasn't live or anything, so it's all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Thoughts behind this? Do you think it's, because it's an Easter egg, or because people are talking about it, or is it just something he said that they just didn't feel like editing out, and people are just making let people have some news out there? Yeah, is it just talk to talk, or do you think at some point we may see this?
I think it makes sense to see it. I mean, if you're going to call it your performance EV, there's the level above the Turbo S and every other line, or there's always a GT line.
Yeah.
In our sports cars.
Because weren't there, and I may be wrong with this, but didn't we actually joke around about this? But didn't they actually see a test mule of a Cayenne Coupe GT or something like that? Wasn't there something like that out there?
Yeah, but
maybe that was just the GTS or something like that.
Yeah, that came out to be the GTS apparently.
Okay.
We think.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like it.
Because I remember you and I were talking about that in speculation, because we did see spy photos, and I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. But not too out of the line, not to change subjects real fast, but BMW makes an M Coupe sedan thing, whatever. So whatever that 4-door.
Ipso facto.
Why doesn't Porsche make a competing one, right? Who knows? But anyways, we're back on this Taycan GT. So as a Taycan GT, does it stay 4-door? Or do they make it a 2-door?
Ooh, that would open up to would they make both?
Does it look like just a race spec sedan essentially?
I think a race spec. I think they could do a race spec sedan. Does it make sense? Does they have a racing series to
support
everything? Not really.
Making something no one's asking for essentially again here.
But that doesn't mean they
But again, it's just all speculation. They probably. Yeah. I don't think they'll make it. And I just don't really see it.
Here we go. Taycan GT, 1,000 horsepower electric motors.
Yeah.
Just there it is.
Keep it just to keep it.
Yeah.
I think if they make this, if they make a Taycan GT, I think it'd be a 2-door. And where I see this fitting in at, and we talked about this a little bit earlier offline, I think it's for Tesla's Roadster sports car, if it ever comes out, type of deal. I think that's what maybe this might be. It's fighter pot, this is who it fights against.
Yeah.
The Taycan GT. And the reason why I say that is I just feel that if Tesla's the only one in the market, it has a Roadster at that capability, it's full EV. Obviously, I know that Rimac, we're deep in the car game. We know they exist, but we're talking about something out there. It's $150,000, something attainable. I'm not talking about ultra supercar or whatever.
Comparable to its other,
I could see a Taycan GT 2-door to compete with this other car that Tesla's making if it comes out.
I think it muddied the water if they did Taycan GT and made it a coupe like that. I think they would rename it altogether if they were going to do something like that.
You think so?
Just for branding.
Maybe. But I mean, I'm not saying that this might not be that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you need? How much faster does a Taycan Turbo S need to be? What's the where does a GT fall in this lineup? Yeah. If you already have that.
That's true.
I guess is what I'm getting. That's why I even said maybe it's going to be totally different, just be a 2-door, and it'll compete with that other car. I don't know. Again, it's just all speculation.
Carbon buckets, cage.
Yeah, just full carbon fiber car, carbon fiber wheels, carbon fiber everything, whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Just
do it.
Featherweight. So if you can,
anti-gravity batteries.
Exactly. If you can shrug a lot of weight, maybe you can pick up the front of the car. Who knows?
I mean, what would you expect out of this Taycan GT? Performance-wise, it's already. I thought the Turbo S takes the cake.
Like you said, probably 1,000 horsepower.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be something.
But I think it's got to be, if it's going to carry a GT moniker, it has to be over the top, and that's why I say it's probably going to be a 2-door, and that's why I think it's going to fight with the Tesla car if it ever comes out. Who knows?
Gooseneck spoiler. That's what everybody wants to know.
Probably not. I think it's probably going to be sleeker and just very slippery looking. But who knows? All talk. Anyways, let's go on a quick break, and then we'll talk about e-fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys listening to PCAR Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show. We're back for break. So this is going to sound super contradictive, but don't kill the messenger, because we're just reporting like what's happening within Porsche. We are not actually making decisions with Porsche. However, if they want us to, please give us a call. That can change. So they're developing an e-fuel. I had to do a little bit of thinking behind this and like do some research. What is an e-fuel? Well, it's going to synthetic fuel. Right now, it doesn't exist. So they're going to try to develop something that exists for their cars to run combustion engines still.
So you're saying it's theoretical.
It is. However, this is already in motion. Like, they have research labs. They're all doing this stuff. They've allocated money and funds to do this. They didn't say, yes, it's happening. Obviously, they were spending money to hopefully to be able to accomplish this. So the whole goal behind this is to develop a synthetic fuel so they can still sell combustion engines when the time comes where they're not supposed to be able to sell combustion engines. And essentially, I guess they'll be able to sell you the fuel as well to go with these cars. Yep. I don't know if that's going to show up, but that's a whole nother thing. They didn't get into that. So it's supposed to, hopefully, their goal is to have lower emissions, but you can still have a combustion engine.
Is it a no emissions fuel? Is that
they didn't go that far.
Okay.
Because they don't know. They're going into the unknown with this. Okay. It's a synthetic fuel as far as it goes. And they want to develop this so the whole goal, very high macro, so they can do combustion engines still, i.e. still want to be able to sell 911 with a combustion engine.
Or at least run your old vintage stuff.
Yeah.
If it's possible.
And I don't know if that's possible either, but they didn't get into the weeds with it. It's just a synthetic fuel for the combustion engine. They want to try to make this happen so they can still obviously sell the GT cars still with a combustion engine, 911 with combustion engine, because we talked about this. They spent so much time developing this car. A lot of the Porsche feels when you drive a Porsche is a lot of that flat six sound. So if that goes away, we're talking fast forwarding long term, meaning like no more combustion engine, you have full EV 911. Yeah. A lot of the feels and soul of that car are probably going to be lost with those sounds.
And emotion, yeah.
So I think from a heritage standpoint, like we talked about before, they've spent a lot of time, and this is who they are as DNA. They're motorsporty, they have sounds. Everybody who is in the know, who knows anything about cars in general, they know what a flat six sounds like, especially at 9,000 RPM. It's awesome. It's one of those things, I think, as a company as a whole, they don't want to lose that section of who they are. And I think this is their way to try to figure out a way to work ahead of the system. So what they were saying, too, in this article, that they're trying to be proactive instead of waiting for government entities to say and put that onto any type of petrol or developer or any of that stuff. So Porsche's taking it upon them. They're not in the fuel game, but they're saying, we want to try to develop this before it's even developed so we can be the pioneers of it to say, hey, we figured this out. This works for our cars. Here you go. And we can still make our combustion engines.
It also could lengthen the time for them to go full EV on everything too.
Yeah.
If they could make this and where it's lowering the emissions enough where those combustion engines are causing problems, that they might not have to have no combustion engines at all.
Well, that's the paradox, right? That I was discussing earlier. Now, and I'm glad you brought that up. With all of the EV talk we've ever done with Porsche and the development of all the stuff that we're reporting on, does this seem like almost kind of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation here, where they're like, hey, well, we're going to develop a fuel so we can still run combustion engines, but everything else is going full EV. You're like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah,
is it kind of like
a little weird?
Like
maybe they're playing
head turn. Like what? What?
Maybe they don't believe it all the way.
In the EV thing, you mean?
Yeah,
it could be.
Or maybe they just want to have a plan B. Because what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
What if the infrastructure is? I mean, not all the way there for everything they want to do, or they don't. They just see they've looked at
it's
scale.
just a fad.
They looked at scale. Yeah, I mean, because there were electric cars in the early 1900s
Mm-hmm.
and steam powered cars
Yeah, yeah.
and everything else. So
I get it. It could be that.
but I think it's more of they want to keep their heritage. They always still want 917s.
I think it goes back to that.
Running
I think it
on the
goes
track
back
if
to
they
that.
can,
Exactly.
and those fuels. Or, I mean, who knows what they can do if they really could develop a fuel that could run in any octane? Then yeah, we get Rensport for eternity.
We'll think about what they've done too. Like if they've been able to like actually accomplish this mission and make a synthetic fuel, even if it's not zero emissions, but if it's just lower emissions and the engine runs fine, it doesn't hurt anything. Now you're not running any fossil fuel, and you're making something
Yep.
that you don't have to pull from the earth anymore.
Other problem with that is expense. What's that going to cost now?
Yeah, and then again, we can get into the weeds about the details of it, and then what's the byproduct to make this, right? So like, how detrimental is that to the environment?
Yeah.
So who knows? But I mean, this will all come out within their research. Like this, they're just starting this. I mean, this could come to nothing. I just think it's interesting that they're even.
But that's on the table.
They're
even thinking about that. The one guy.
Well, it's in emotion. They're doing it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the end result's going to be success. Nobody does.
Imagine
They probably don't know.
Being the guy like, hey guys, I know we're really pushing this full EV thing. I just want to bring up something.
Yeah.
What if
you're the like lead engineer for that? Everybody in the room's like a pin drop. Hey, I love EVs just as much as everybody else.
I mean, I'm on board.
Hear me out now. You can see it.
Exactly.
Hear me out now. Don't just shoot me now.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, maybe, just maybe, we make something synthetic. It's the steel combustion engine. No. Okay, yeah, maybe. Yes. No. But
Infiltrated Russian, Italian.
yeah. But I think it's awesome that they're going. I mean, they have some of the smartest people in the world working for them, right? So I think it's great to exercise their brains, even if this comes nowhere. Like, who knows what other door this could open for them, even if it does anything with e-fuel, but maybe it'll help them with engine technology moving forward and help them figure out how to even use fossil fuel and make the cars still produce less emissions. I don't know.
Or
like
something
can
or
come
something
from
that
this.
mixes with this, or maybe it's a mixture where it's almost like an octane booster, but it's not. But it helps.
Yeah,
lower the
cleaner,
emissions of the fossil
who
fuels
knows?
currently.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows what the possibilities are with this, but I think it's really, really, really interesting. Do you think... And then the next thing would be is like what I was going to ask you is, if they develop this, think about the win from a business perspective, right? If they were able to actually achieve this goal and then they patent this synthetic fuel, like, do you think they're printing money now?
Yeah, it won't be a bad day.
Where they just share this technology with other manufacturers and say, okay, well, we're patenting this. We just want a cut of everything that you guys do. Oh, by the way, we make the fuel, so you buy the fuel from us. And now the fuel is, they're selling fuel worldwide and basically putting
what if you want to keep
any oil refinery stuff out of business?
Exactly. And it makes like just the conversation of, hey, you want to keep making what you're making without having to retool everything for EVs.
Yeah.
Here's an answer.
But then it also gets into that debate of, will, I guess, the powers that be that really forcing the world to go full EV, that all the governments that are into it and all that kind of stuff, will they fight this too, even if it is? Because let's be real, it's probably not going to be zero emissions. But if it's lesser emissions, do you still think they'll hang on to that to be like, okay, well, EV's still cleaner because it's this, and that car still produces emissions? You know what I mean? Is it still going to be one of those things where they shake a stick at that?
If it's a factor of it has to be zero, then yeah, it's gonna be an argument.
Well, I just meant as far as like, not that it has to be zero, but like but these governments are so sold into it where they're past the point of no return, where it's like, look, whether we believe in this or not, it's full tilt with this. The EV thing, like, it has to happen, even if other people come up like this, have solutions to the problem. They're like, nope, this is what's happening, moving on, don't want to hear it. Those type of deals. I'm wondering if they're going to have a clash, is what I'm getting at, with somebody to try to fight that scene.
Maybe. I mean, it could just be a synthetic fuel for their flying car, so we'll see.
That's true too.
For
their Mr. Fusion Back to the Future.
It's gonna happen.
Just like
doing something.
Yeah, it needs some plutonium to go back in time. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's awesome. I love Porsche for many reasons.
With anything, it's probably already running in something. That's the other thing. They're like, yeah, we're talking about building it. It's probably running in something already.
That nobody even knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the RSRs are having a little trouble.
Yeah. Testing fuel out still. It says VP Racing Fuel on it, but it's not actually VP Racing Fuel.
It's for the environment.
All right. So on to the Did You Know segment.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting thing, and the reason why I'm calling it Did You Know, it's not like I'm going to have one of these all the time, but I thought it was an interesting thing because I didn't know this. So in the 80s, Porsche made engines for airplanes.
Yeah.
How about that? And guess what? It was a flat six.
Oh,
it was
nice.
a 3.2 liter. Same engine that went in a 911. Just re-engineered to go in an airplane.
Just it's the 80s. We need to build something else.
Yeah, 241 horsepower, flat six, going in an old airplane. Interesting thing about this, it's not the first time Porsche's ever built engines for planes. Back in the wartime,
that's what I thought you were going to say, but I couldn't. The 80s.
Yeah, no, this is for private use. This is so. I have a list of planes. It was 4 small aircraft. So basically, they built the engine. Obviously, like anything, if you guys don't know, a lot of these places almost like with boats, because Yamaha builds engines for boats. They don't necessarily build the boat. They supply the engine for the boat. That's kind of what this is.
Yeah.
So Porsche was supplying the engine for the shell of the plane. They didn't build the aircraft. So just want to be clear with that. It's not a Porsche airplane. It's a Porsche engine in the airplane.
It'd be dope if they did.
Yeah. But essentially, it's the closest Porsche airplane you really can have because it's got the Porsche guts in it because it's in flat six. So it went into a variety of small aircrafts. It's called the Skoda TB-16, Robin DR400, Extra 330, and the Mooney M20L.
Now that was extra, huh?
Yeah, that was, it's a variety of planes this could have gone in. So you would think if you hear that variety of planes that this engine could fit in, it's almost kind of like, it's an old 350 engine. It could go in anything, essentially, right? So you're thinking, probably a lot of these out there, right? Nope. Just like Porsche normally does things, there's only 41 of these.
You say it's a limited program.
Exactly. So this was the ultra exclusive before the ultra exclusive was really out there.
So you had your Gimbala turbo convertible, and then you're like, you know what, I'm getting a plane.
Exactly.
It's going to have a Porsche
engine. And now I don't think that 41 is out there because there was I'm joking, like I'm being facetious because Porsche always limits everything and all that kind of stuff. But I'm actually just saying that because that's all there was ever really made or people bought. Because I'm sure there was probably a lot of other, and these engines were air cooled. They're Porsche engines, essentially out of cars, just going into airplanes.
Oil was everywhere.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people like them actually, though, because a lot of older airplanes are air cooled engines too. So you don't have an issue with starvation with oil, with altitude and all that kind of stuff. Water and all that stuff with freezing up and all that kind of stuff, excuse me. So that's so it's air cooled. That's why a lot of motorcycles are air cooled too. They don't have to mess with that water and all that stuff, like corroding its bits and parts. But yeah, only made 41 of these things and only made for 2 years.
Do you think, it sounds like it wasn't a very profitable business for them in some sense, or maybe it was just weird and they were like, well, we got to stop this.
Yeah. I don't know if it was profitable or I think it was just reassembly. And again, it could have went in all of those things. And when I'm saying 41, I don't mean 41 total engines were ever made. Because there's one for sale right now. It's the Mooney M20L. I think it went over a little $100,000 for them.
Yeah.
It's an older plane. They only put 41 of these engines in a Mooney. So you could get a Mooney with other stuff in it, but so there's 41. So there was
an option.
Yeah,
so
41 Moonies out there with this, and it was only built from 1988 to 89. So 1 year exclusive, 41 airplanes. So
nice.
This is a 1 of 41 for sale.
You could get a vintage. Something almost close to your 964.
Exactly.
Would you run a race livery on it?
100%. You kidding me? You run something cool. So it's super rare. If you're listening, I'm not a salesman, but it is for sale, and you're a plain person. I guess if you have money to spare,
Yeah.
100 grand is not that much money to own some of Porsche history, right?
It says Porsche on it, why not?
Talking to our friend out there, you know who I am, the plane guy.
The plane guy. He also has an extra. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
they must have been pretty decently fast planes then.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, there's probably nothing. They're small aircraft. There's nothing to them. I mean, so hopefully maybe he listens to this, and if he doesn't, maybe I'll send him a text with this for sale thing. It's for sale. I think it's at auction anyways. But that's a little did you know, because I didn't know. But would you buy an air-cooled airplane if you had the money and you did know how to fly and all that stuff?
I think it'd be cool. I mean, yeah, obviously it's
probably leaks oil like an old air-cooled.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, well,
get a catch pan underneath it. To be fair, our friend who has multiple airplanes, when we went over to his hangar, he did have a catch pan underneath one of his older planes, and he's like, it leaks oil. So
that's probably one of these planes.
But yeah, I got a catch pan underneath my 964 right now because it dribbles a little bit here and there.
Well, I mean, when you have so many quarts of oil, it's got to get out sometime.
Yeah, exactly. The seals can only hold so much, right? But yeah, I think it's actually super, super cool. And it just shows actually the diversity of Porsche is what I think. And actually shows kind of open minds. And actually, maybe it was, and I'm kind of just reading between the lines. Think about that time frame. Porsche was really struggling as a brand during that time.
We need to make money and doing something.
So maybe they just had engines sitting around and nobody was buying cars.
Ooh.
And maybe they were just trying to get them into anything they could.
They're like, wait a minute, airplane, air-cooled. Yeah, we can probably do this.
They're like, this will fit in this airplane. And then, we just change bits here, change this here, because they said basically it's just retrofitted to be in the plane. So they probably haven't done a whole lot to have to do that.
Drives like a 911, right?
Hey, to be fair, I mean, a lot of old warplanes run on Rolls-Royce engines. So a lot of these auto manufacturers, it's not, I mean, obviously things are a lot different now when you have a turbine engine and all that kind of stuff, but we're talking old school here. So the things are the same. Basically, the engine's still turning over. It needs to operate. It needs fuel. It needs spark. The difference is it's not turning wheels. It's turning a blade.
Yeah. Taxi performance is epic.
Yeah.
Takes corners like the best of them.
Exactly. Be like, what kind of exhaust you got on that thing, bro? you got a cut pipe on there?
That probably sounded good, too.
Probably sounds really good. You wonder what the red line is, though, right? What are your speeds? All that kind of stuff. I think it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I thought that was a cool did you know segment. I didn't know Porsche was putting engines in airplanes. And they've been doing it for a while. This wasn't like a one-time deal. Obviously, we're going further back. I'm not trying to get into the weeds with all that, but they've been doing it for a while. But I just thought this is the most modern plane that they've put stuff in.
You think they're going to bring it back?
That we can cut. No, yeah, I'm sure. They're going to get in the turbine engine game that we can relate to because a lot of people, and not including myself, were alive during that time frame. So I think it was pretty interesting. And there's a lot of air-cooled fans out there, so I wonder if they knew that air-cooled engines were going into small aircraft during that time.
Be a cool coffee table, I guess.
Yeah. It'd be kind of cool, like just to hang out. I have a Porsche airplane. That's kind of a flex, isn't it?
Oh,
you're like,
cool.
I didn't know they make them. Yeah, they don't anymore.
It was limited. You know how it is.
Exactly. But I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, planes. Porsche planes. It happened.
Dude, Porsche everything, bro. Porsche buildings. There's that design place. Porsche Towers in Miami.
Yeah.
You name it. When you think of things and you're like, oh, I wonder if Porsche did that. Probably. At some point.
They've tried it.
But they only made it in limited numbers. Right?
It's true.
Always. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all those great things. It helps us a lot. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and we will see you on the next one.
Yep. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at PCARTalk.com.